Welcome back to the Collective Clips, where we really get it in. You already know what it is, man. And in Menudo style in direct fashion, you guys could tell by that thumbnail right there, it's about to get serious. Got them a little bit curious, right? Now trip out. When it comes to doing time with the woods, brother, right? It's a whole different animal. It's a little bit of a different style. You know, it's like a jungle sometimes. It makes you wonder how to keep from going under, right? Let me tell you, there's definitely a different style you got to get used to doing time with woods, skinheads, people of a white nature, right? You know, I hear white privilege all the time. Hey, these guys are born rich, or they got a silver spoon in their mouth. And no, they got some black in the spoon, but definitely not a silver spoon in their mouth. That's not everybody. See, there are a lot of white boys, woods, that come into the prison system or go into the CYA system at that time, that are impoverished. They're poor. They're minority too, man. They're not loved or embraced by this so-called white privilege that everyone thinks, man. These guys really go through the struggle. They're really on welfare. They're really out there thugging like that. And then you got the white boys that come in that listen to rap music. They might have a black chick on the side, right? Mexican hyena, got a baby mama that's Mexican, so she's only half, right? All these different things that it encompasses, but they come in, and because of the politics of prison or CYA, they have to stick to their own race. They have to stick to their own people. That's just the way it is. I know a lot of people get upset about it. And, you know, there's people that are doing time there, be it blacks or Mexicanos and others. And we look in the white guy's direction, and it's like you see all this hatred tattooed all over their body. You know, swastikas and hate rhetoric and, you know, white supreme white power, this and that. And people automatically assume that that is hate, that they're putting it on their body so that way you know what time it is that they don't like you. But let me tell you something, brother, right? The woods ain't all like that. There's a lot of them that just go in there and they stick to their people because that's just the way it fucking is. That's the way the political makeup of prison is. You have to stick with your own gente. You have to be with your own people. Now, I've done a lot of time with white boys all the way from the California Youth Authority to prison. And I've met a lot of them that are dangerous. You know, they get slept on. In a lot of these prison stories we talk about and tell, you know, I talk about the North or the South or the Crips or the Bloods or the Usos, right? The Asians, of course, they stand tall, right, and firm, the Paisas. But we never really talk about the woods, brother, or the skinheads. And let me tell you, there are totally two different entities. You know, with the woods, you have guys that are just proud of their race. They're proud to be white. They're going to stand tall and hard. Never be ashamed of what you are. Orale, Too Short said it first, right? And he said it best. Never be ashamed. And so, of course, when they go, they gravitate towards their people. They go hit that yard and they sit at their tables and they do their bar work on their bars on the southern side, not the other side, because they do a course, you know, program on the southern side of the yard, or at least they did back in my days. I don't know how it is now. I don't know the makeup and the intricacies into the details of the yardas in prison in California. But I know in California, and I'm speaking on California politics right here, brother. Speaking on California, the way the get down is. Not in other states. I know in other states it's different. But in California, you know, it's all racial. It's all about sticking with your people. Not even racial, because you got Mexicanos from the South and the North that have a dividing line to conquer, right? Of course, everybody's going to stick with your gente and people. It's as gang related as it gets. And that's just Cali for you. Hey, in real life. Now, when it comes to the woods, right? A lot of these guys didn't gangbang on the streets. They weren't part of a clique or a gang. You know, they're just white by association. They're just a white man trying to do his time because he stole a car and there was a whole lot of skunk in it, brother. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you know what I mean? There was some there. There was some in the rig, but, you know, that's another story to tell. So anyways, these guys get locked up. And like I said, a lot of them used to listen to Mac Dre, X-Rated, you know, RBL Posse, whatever, especially the ones in Northern California. And then they get incarcerated and they are told that they can't, that we're not gonna take it, that they're not allowed to listen to that anymore. Or they probably just fall right into that politics because, of course, you know, the rhetoric that is spoken on and that people truly believe is that white people hate brown or black people. And not all of them do. Not when it comes to the woods, brother. I know a lot of woods that are still my friends to this day. We've done time together or we've kicked it on the streets. And they're not that, man. You know, I respect the point of kicking it with your own people. I respect, you got to watch each other's back. That's just the way the prison is. And of course, whites are minorities in prison. There's not very many of them unless you're in Susanville. That's the White House, and we'll speak on that in a minute. But when it comes to the white car, the woods and the skinheads, they're two totally different things. The skinheads, on the other hand, are true and firm believers in their cause meaning hatred and against the grain of what they consider the minorities, the black and brown, and anyone other than them, than white, pure white. I mean, that's their beliefs. You can't knock a man for believing. That's just like a Sureño being from the South, and he truly believes that that's number one. That's him. That's his cause. That's what he's into. So who says he's right or wrong? I can't and I won't, right? And the same thing goes for the Norteños up north. They're going to plant that Huelga bird flag and stand on it. And that's how it is. And the brothers cripping and blooding, and then the Norte thugging is going on. Everybody on the yard is believing in what they push. Now, when it comes to the skinheads, I did time with them in YA. It wasn't very many of them. But I will say this. The ones that were there were, they're bad about it. I said they're bad about it. They were very bad about it, right? No limit. They had no limits to their get down, man. There wasn't very many of them. And the ones that stood strong were stronger than most around them, okay? You have white guys like Wes Watson that was a wood, not a skinhead, right? You guys have people like Splinter from Prison POV, respects to Splinter, and shout out to his channel. Tap in with Splinter, man. He's a real one, right? Who was a wood and not a skinhead. Now, the skinheads, they move with a different type of animosity in their heart, with a different type of juice and a different type of flavor. When I talk about woods, brother, they're over there drinking coffee. Skinheads are drinking chanate, right? They're really getting down, and they really don't like other people because they've been doing this politically, most of them from the streets. They're part of an organization or a group and an agenda to make the country pure again, right? That's what they believe in, and that's their thing. And I can't be mad at it. I don't like it, but I'll never disrespect it, because at the same time, as long as people ain't disrespecting me, I ain't going to disrespect them. Even if they disrespect me, I just turn the other cheek because, okay, that's just what it is. I'm the runner, right? I'll just run to another direction. Bang, bang. There it is. I'll be a man. Now, I did time with the guy. I called him the Bay Aryan. He called himself the Bay Aryan. He was from Vacaville, California, which is right in between the Bay Area, Sacramento, up north. And this guy was about his business, man. This guy truly, out of all the woods or skinheads I ever met, because he was a skinhead, he was really, really about his identity and what he believed in. And he had a lot of wordplay and a lot of details and facts and a lot of receipts behind what he said that made a motherfucker go, It made you think. Even as a Norteño on that tira, when we did time in the shoe, I thought about it. Like, wow, this motherfucker's different, right? Anyways, when I first ran into him, I was on a tier in the shoe program, right? I was not really trying to associate with too many people other than my people. We lost back and forth. It's a very quiet place, right? We weren't trying to do too much, but we did conversate from time to time. Okay, now this guy I met, he was out of state. Okay, I didn't meet him in the California system. I met him in a different system, yet at the same time, in the meantime, in between time, we were both still representing where we were from, which is Califas, right? So anyways, I'm sitting down doing my time. I had caught a stabbing. He had caught his time for whatever the case may be. I never really got into the details of his case. But I know that he had a lot of weird tattoos on his body. And I'm explaining one of the tattoos he had on his body, which stood out crazy, right? Blacks, cover your ears, because it's ugly, right? I remember this guy walking to the shower one day, and he had his fucking towel around his neck. He was in his boxers, his chanclas, and he was going, we're on the top tier, so he was going downstairs to use the shower. So of course, I'm looking out, I'm bumping my music. They would give us a little clock radio. I'm bumping my music, doing my thing. And I look out of my cell and I see him going to shower. Now, he was my neighbor. So I had never really laid eyes on this guy or seen who he was. We had only had a few conversations. He shot me a couple magazines, which I couldn't believe it because I was Mexicano, right? But he did do that out of respect for the tier and the get down of someone going through a hardship while you're incarcerated. Anytime you're in the hole or you're in the shoe or anything like that, man, you look out for one another. If you're a righteous individual and you know what doing time really encompasses. Real ones know that. Ask Lil Dopey, refer to his when he said the Norteño shot him a package. People do that. It's mysterious. It's weird. I know they say they're the ops and the enemies, but sometimes the enemies and the ops will look out for you more than your own people. Trip on that. It's happened many a times. Anyways, he's walking by to the shower and I see a big tattoo on his back, right? And it says Bay Aryan, right? And I said, what the fuck? Bay Aryan? I had never heard it put like that. I was like, yay, Aryan. I said, imagine, yay, Aryan. That's a little bit different, right? Motherfucker must have swag. And then I looked at his back and he had a tattoo of 6 black, again, cover your ears, black guys, right? 6 black guys with nooses around their neck being drugged. And it tripped me out that he would display that type of imagery because anywhere he went, of course, the brothers were going to trip. I was tripping and I'm not even black. Well, I am from the waist down, but that's different. You know, we're not even going to speak on that. They get mad when I talk about that. They're jealous. Anyways, fucking this dude's walking by and I trip out. So when he gets back, I hit him up on his tattoos. And he was a guy named War. They called him War. That was his fucking plaquiazo, his nickname. And I was like, hey, War. I said, what's up with that tattoo on your back? He said, you like it, brother? I said, I mean, the works is detailed out and shit. That one brought the Vato's nose dead on, right? But at the same time, bro, what would influence you to get something like that? He goes, well, that's my case. That's what I did to get here. I literally went out of my way to get these guys and drag them with my truck, you know, because I'm a true and firm believer in what I believe, which was basically black hatred, right? I was like, wow, I'm not. You know what I mean? I got love for everyone. I'm black and brown, brother. But at the same time, I'll respect you for being the man you are and having your wiggle, but that's not my wiggle, right? Anyways, this guy, he started telling me stories. And some of these stories he told me were so outlandish, so crazy, I couldn't believe them. It's kind of like the stories I tell on YouTube. Some people choose not to believe them. They think it's lies. But it was all facts, and it's real. You know, I just thought he had a whole big old bottle of tapatio in his cell because, man, these stories were crazy. But let me tell you about what happens one day. So one day, a black guy comes on our tier. He's about 2 cells down. And he's a blood, right? And he's representing, man. And I guess he had caught a case. And, you know, you go through doing your time in the hole, then you go to the shoe. And that's just how it is. You know, anyone that knows, there's levels to this shit, right? So when you finally make it there, you're the who's who of the who's what, right? And he finally got there. So he's here. I'm in the middle, the dick in the middle, right? 2 balls beside me. And then you got a white boy and a brother, right? The brother's a blood. The white guy's a fucking crazy white person, right? Straight crazy, brother, right? War. Doesn't talk to too many people, has decided to talk to me because I'm his vecino, his neighbor, but just doesn't fucking put his voice out there too much. But when he does, he gets straight to the fucking point. He's one of those guys that no hands-on policy, weaponry for reals. You already know, man, if he can get to you, he's going to poke you. He's going to stab you. And I always thought, man, if this door ever opens, I'm going to, my target is straight war. Even though we conversate, we keep it civil, he's my target because I know he's going to try to throw me over the fucking tier. That's just it. Anyways, this black guy gets on the tier. And War used to shoot me magazines. And I've told the story before, but let me reiterate it because it's a white thing today, brother. You know, I'm going to talk for the woods. He used to shoot me magazines over. And so I guess my neighbor hears the sliding back and forth. He sees the magazines. And this guy had just shot me, I think it was an FHM or a Maxim magazine. I forget, you know, with hyenas on the cover. And I remember War was a trip because he was to take out all the black girls and throw them away. Hey, no hatred here. I'm just saying this is fucking facts, right? Anyways, I'm looking through the magazine and boom, 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 boom on my wall. And this Africano, right? This brother. And I'm like, hey, what's up, bro? And he's like, hey, Norte. I'm like, yeah, what's up? He's like, hey, you mind if I look at the magazines after you? Now, most of the time we would slide the magazines all the way down the tier so people could share them. But this wasn't my property. And one thing you don't do in prison is fuck with people's property, right? I can't share their property without their fucking consent. I'm not going to just do this. I'm not going to give out names. It's just like people that ask for other people's phone numbers. Childish, Holmes. You know, I need to ask them first. So in fact, you fucking ask them. You know, people get all mad at me because they want me to give someone their phone number and I don't. And then they start making hella videos about me. You know, John, you know who you are, right? Hey, can you call this homeboy? Nah, I can't call. He don't even want to. He don't know you. Anyway, he said, fuck you. So anyways, this Vato is asking me if he could look at the magazines. I'm like, hey, bro, I have to ask my neighbor. They're his. He's like, all right, man, do that, do that. So I boom, 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 boom. A War. What? Wood? Right? Well, I ain't a wood. You know what I mean? You're acting like Shotgun from the movie Shot Caller. You know, why don't you come in the white boy's cell? See how that works out for you. I got an open door policy, right? I'm like, listen, bro. Hey, this brother over here wants to see your man. He said, fuck no. You know? And then he used a derogatory N-word, right? The black dude got mad. He was like, hey, white boy, what you mean? He goes, what do you mean, white boy? He said, well, you're calling me all out of my name. He said, well, you called me white boy, right? And he goes, I ain't no white boy, I'm a white man, right? So they get into this back and forth conversation about if he called him black boy, he would feel disrespected, and he's a black man and a white boy. At the end of the day, right, War and this brother, right, came to an understanding of being civil, and they were not going to wolf on the tier because they were both hitters. They were both about their business, and they could see each other on the yard one day, right? After all this is said and done, the black dude is like, all right, man, that's cool. I understand where you're coming from, man. I recognize. He was like, but can I still look at that magazine? He was like, no. And then he said the N-word. I was like, oh, shit. This was a crazy wood, one of the craziest I ever met. And I'm going to tell you what happened the first day he got out of the shoe. So we would talk and he would tell me, hey, man, as soon as I get out of here, the first minority, he used to say minority. That was his little word. I said, look, you got something against Mexicans, Holmes? Because we can stop this conversation right now. So let's get. He said, it's not necessary that I have something against Mexicans. It's Mexicans got something against me. They feel that I automatically got something against them. He goes, I ain't never had no problem with no Mexicans. I don't agree with you guys coming over here illegally. But at the same time, I was like, listen here, little Trump, right? I ain't got no problems with you, Holmes. But at the same time, you know, as long as you don't disrespect my people, my gente, the raza, north, south, or paisa, we're good in the hood. And I don't appreciate you disrespecting brothers in front of me too, because I got a lot of love for them. They just keep it like that, right? So our conversations were very, very civil after that point, after that conversation. But anyways, this guy gets out of the fucking hole, right? And he had told me, he said, hey, first person I see, I'm gonna massacre him, I'm gonna slaughter him. And I say, yeah, I know, sounds good. You know what I mean? 2 shots of coffee, brother, a machete, and a brother, and it's on, right? This guy, I watched him literally roll his shit up. It was his day to leave. I was like, all right now, war. He said, all right now. Walked down that tier, and man, he wasn't out on that yard for as long as it took to dress him out, get him to his building, and you could hear the whole institution, yard down, yard down. He butchered it was a Filipino cat, man. I don't know if they had words, if he took his shirt off and that Filipino felt some type of way about what he was displaying, the imagery. Or just whatever it was a Filipino cat, man. He butchered like to the fullest. And I remember they placed him back. You would think that they would take him to the oil, but they did it like the movie Shot Caller. They brought him back to his cell. And I remember thinking to myself, man, this vato looks like the fucking movie from Shot Caller. What was his name? Fucking Redwood, right? It took him 4 months to get a hold of that screw, but we don't give a fuck, right? And I was like, wow. They didn't watch this guy for nothing. He had sangre. I mean, he was like, I told you, right? And he was like, hey, I forgot I left the FHM magazine with you. I was like, damn, he cared more about that magazine than the guy that he just hit. Yeah, he did catch time, man. He actually picked up a charge. They shipped him out. He went to another prison, which was further down south. And then that was it, man. You know, I never heard of him again. I'm just saying, when you do time with Woods, people might underestimate them. Unless you've truly done time with them and really know what they're about, man, they ain't no suckers, ain't no punks. In fact, they're one of the most treacherous and gangsters groups, because when they do get off with your head, man, they really put it down. Now, it's not to say that they don't get dealt with too, because, man, you know, more times than another, the most people that I see him get into conflict with wasn't blacks or northerners. It'd trip you out, huh? It trips you out? Hold, right? Who they really got into it with were the Southerners, man. And when the Southerners in White Rock, they rock and roll. Hey, straight twisted sister, we're not gonna take it. And you see about 500 fucking sureños on 10 fucking white guys, and it's ugly. And that's just the way it goes. Now, doing time in Susanville was a different animal. You know, I've been to several prisons in California, in other states as well. And I'm going to tell you right now, doing time in every different yard in every different state is different. Doing time on Lassen Yard in Susanville at the time that I did it was the White House. It was truly the only place that I've ever been where whites, their numbers were numerous. They weren't the deepest, and you best believe this. See, the brothers were strong, but the essays were the deepest. But they definitely had sheer numbers, probably about 70 of them on the yard, which is more whites than I've ever seen in my life or ever wanted to be around. And I'm telling you right now, straight up, these vatos were fucking flaunting their shit. They had all the juice with the cops. They had the yard crew popping. They had all the juice that you could muster and imagine. That was their spot, man. And everyone knew that was the White House. And that was my time doing time around Woods, where I was like, wow, these vatos really are dangerous, because they was really putting in movidas. They had it going on, man. But, you know, who wouldn't take advantage of a situation when the situation takes advantage of itself? You know, it just is what it is. But anyways, for those that asked me to do a story on the Woods, true facts. You know, the guy, the Bay Aryan, you know, he ended up catching the case. I think he got 17 more years for his crime. And it just is what it is. He was a lifer anyways. So let's get run that. You know what I mean? Run that concurrent or consecutive or however the fuck you want to run it. Just run it, you know? And that's just what it is. Anyways, you know, for those of you that ask questions about how the Woods and how the skinheads rock, they rock, man. You know, although they are two different entities, they do come together because of their skin color, man. Skin it, brother. It's mighty white of you, right? And they handle their business. With that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed the content today right here on the Collective Clips. Like and subscribe. Put all notifications to all Not personalized, but to also, that way you guys get the updates on this real shit, man. If you haven't tuned into Gunners Collective, I drop bangers upon bangers over there. Make sure you guys tap in. Make sure you guys tap in. As you see the video playing in the background, that's the homeboy Food and Felons. He's got a booming food channel, man. Right here in this one, it was him, the homeboy Dubs from the Dubs V channel and the Dubez channel, and Little Easy E, man. They pulled up to a spot in LA. They had some bomb-ass food, man. Make sure you tap into Food and Felons. Probably one of the best and real hood. Real hood. Look at that in the background. Head and shoulders. So that's all head and shoulder. That really did their thing. That he really does his thing on YouTube, man. Go support the man. Let's get him to that thou wow. You already know what it is. A band for some bands. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to do what I does right here on the Collected Clips. And gracias for all the support I've been getting. Am I getting skinnier? It's because I'm sick, man. I got to get into them weights and blow it back up. It's the gun. Bang, bang.